February 28th, 2026. 2 a.m. The bombs fell. By morning, the world had changed. By the following week, the oil stopped moving. The stage, 25 miles wide, a narrow corridor between Oman and Iran. The Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas every single day. It is not a battlefield. It is the world's energy lifeline. And in 2026, someone grabbed it by the throat. Years of tension. This did not start overnight. Nuclear talks in Geneva collapsed. In June 2025, the US and Israel struck Iran's nuclear sites in the 12-day war. A ceasefire held barely. Then in January 2026, Iranian security forces massacred thousands of their own civilians during the largest anti-government protests since 1979. Washington watched and waited. February 28th, 2026. Operation Epic Fury diplomacy was still on the table. Indirect talks were happening in Oman. Then, without warning, coordinated US and Israeli airstrikes hit Iran's military facilities, nuclear sites, and leadership. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed, the head of a regime, gone overnight. Iran's response came within hours. Hundreds of missiles and thousands of drones. At Israel, at US bases across the Gulf, at Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE. March 4th, 2026, the Strait goes dark. Iran's most devastating weapon was not a missile, it was a declaration. On March 4th, the IRGC announced the Strait of Hormuz closed. Any ship attempting to pass would be attacked. Sea mines were laid. Merchant vessels were boarded and struck by drones. A tanker exploded near Kuwait. A French container ship was hit with crew injured aboard. Before the war, 3,000 vessels a month used this route. Now, barely 5% of that number dared to move. The world's reaction, Trump called on NATO allies, China, Japan, and South Korea to enter the strait and protect it. Every single one refused. The US launched Project Freedom, a military escort operation for stranded vessels. Iran called it Project Deadlock. Over 22,500 sailors sat trapped on more than 1,550 ships in the Gulf. Asia faced fuel shortages. Gasoline prices in the United States jumped 52% compared to before the war, the largest oil supply disruption since the 1970s energy crisis. Where things stand, May 2026. A conditional ceasefire was agreed on April 7th to 8th, but the strait remains effectively closed. The US launched a counter-blockade on Iranian ports. Pakistan stepped in as mediator. Iran is reviewing an American peace proposal. Trump's message to Tehran was simple and brutal. Agree to the deal, and the strait opens for everyone. Refuse, and the bombing resumes at a far greater intensity. The IRGC said safe passage will be ensured once threats end. What those terms mean in practice, no one fully knows yet. Climax, 25 miles. That is all it takes. One narrow strip of water, and the entire world holds its breath. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a geography lesson, it is a mirror. It shows exactly how fragile the systems we depend on truly are, and how quickly decades of uneasy peace can unravel.